Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're a returning subscriber or viewer. My name is Tommy Daniels, and in this video, I'm going to be addressing young graduates. Okay, young graduates going into their entry level role, or you're already a young graduate and you're in your entry level role. This video is definitely for you, so make sure you stay tuned and keep watching. Okay, I'm going to be addressing do's and don'ts as a young graduate. A bit of background about me, if you don't already know. I'm a finance director. I've been working in the corporate world for over 10 years now. And I've been opportune to sort of hire and also fire within, my role as a finance director within my team. And I've seen some things over the years. So I definitely have some tips and tricks for you. Even as I know at this time, some of you are definitely are getting into your maybe summer internships. Some of you are preparing to go into your graduate roles in a couple of months' time. So make sure you watch this video. The very first thing that I want you to do and to know, just remember this: do not talk bad about your colleagues to your colleagues. Doesn't matter how friendly you think they are, doesn't matter how close, even if it's your court, so usually some companies, when graduates start, it's you have a few sort of graduates starting at the same time, and you may feel like, oh, we all know each other, this is my friend, this is beyond work, this is my G, whatever it is that you think. Don't talk bad about your colleagues to your colleagues, right? I mean, this is in life in general anyway. You shouldn't really gossip about people, but apart from that, particularly when it comes to your colleague, I know that of course you're going into a role. There are things that people will do to offend you, just as people offend you in life generally, but at all costs, try to avoid bad mouthing or saying things to a colleague about another colleague or a senior level staff about other even just talking to your peers about them and just thinking, oh, it's just banter, it's just just office talk. No, you don't. And the reason why you don't want to do this is you don't know where that could come out. You don't know where it will be said that you said something, or you were in a conversation where people were talking. You shouldn't even be in those conversations. People shouldn't feel comfortable enough to be telling you stuff like that simply because it doesn't really do. You may think, oh, it's this person's my friend and we're just gisting. It wasn't anything really bad. I was just upset about what the person did. You'll be surprised at how it could come out, or where it could come out, and what that could do to your career in a very short space of time. So do not I remember when I started working, it was just one thing I told myself, and it wasn't something I went into the role with, but I noticed that some of my colleagues did that, and they would talk about things, particular things that I agree with. So if they're talking about, let's say they're talking about manager A and saying, oh, manager A does this and he behaves like this and does this, and those are things that I'm already thinking so I'll be really tempted to kind of say oh yeah, I noticed that as well, and make you feel in that moment like you're bonding with that colleague that you're gossiping with, because that's essentially what it is. You may make you feel like you're getting closer to that person, but as I saw them do, I just knew I didn't do it. I couldn't do this and I shouldn't do this. And the other reason why was because I just felt like it was going to impede my growth in the future. I don't know, no one ever told me that, but I'm telling you this for free, and I can see over the years how sort of that virtue sort of kept me over the years. So don't badmouth any colleague to any colleague. If you really are upset about what someone has done, what people are doing, what your colleagues, your managers, your junior staff, or whoever is doing, your subordinates, if you're concerned about what you're doing, take that home, right? Go talk to your parents about it. Talk to your friends outside of work about it. People that have no idea who these people are, talk to them about it. Don't talk to your colleagues about your colleagues, because you don't know where it will come out, and you don't know how that could negatively affect, if I may add, your growth. You don't want to get into a point where it's oh, he said, she said, I didn't say that. I was no, it's petty and you shouldn't do that. Number two, for those of you who have already started, in your roles, and maybe salary reviews are coming up, or, at some point salary reviews will be coming up, don't use other similar level colleagues' salary to negotiate yours or to negotiate for more. And this is what I mean. So if you're, let's say you have a few like graduates, all on the same level, and then maybe you find out that graduate X is earning £5,000 more than you are, and then you take that as a reason for your manager to review your salary. It sounds very petty, sounds very immature, and it just doesn't sound right. So rather, even if you have an information like that and you want to sort of ask for a 5K increase, for instance, I'd rather go on the basis of, oh, like, this is what I would like to ask, if you can kindly, consider a salary review to X. They may not ask you like outright. You may not say outright what you were thinking, but they may ask you what you were thinking, depending on how the conversation goes. And you can give your reasons why. Your reasons could be, oh, based on your role and the things you've been able to achieve and help the company achieve in a short space of time, and the things that you've been able to do, like highlighting your achievements, and things like that. Also, you could also, go down the line of, it could just be like your expenses, like you just said, like, you do have expenses, that are quite expensive, and you think, in addition to that, you think that the role, and based on like sort of what you bring to the company that you do, you could, or you should, or you could have an higher salary, so X amount of pounds. I mean, you have the information that someone is earning 5K more, right? And that's probably what has prompted you even to having this discussion with your managers to start off with. But you don't tell them that, right? But you just have it at the back of your mind that they can, if they're paying someone 5K more on the same level as you know that, they could possibly, definitely pay you 5K more, or even more than that. So you can use that to your advantage, but don't tell them that you're asking for it because someone else is asking for it. Like, I actually had someone that did that, like, at work, and I just thought it was so immature, and it just irritated me. So take this as the employer speaking to you. And I just thought, I just thought, no, like, you don't do that. So don't use any employees employee salary to negotiate for more. The third thing I want to say to you, dear young graduates, is that don't burn bridges. Don't burn bridges. I know that you could be really upset, you could be irritated by the company. Like, when it comes to the time, maybe when your graduate training ends, say in 2 years' time, or maybe it ends now, or you're moving on, you're just moving to a different company, and maybe the company has been horrible, your bosses, your managers, everyone was horrible, you hated them. As much as possible, as much as it lies within you, don't burn that bridges. So when you're having your exit interview, you don't have to say like, oh, it was such a horrible company, I hated everyone. And you know why? Because you don't know where you're going to need them in future. And this is not even just about references, but that's there as well. Like, I mean, references for future employers, but you don't even know where you're going to meet them. Like, I've seen, like, time and time again where, like, someone is working in a company, or someone has moved to a new company, and they basically brought someone else that worked with them because they saw a role, that suits them. So I mean, in a case where you've already sort of said so many bad things about the company, the employer, you've sort of left a bad taste in your mouth. So if one of the people you're having the exit interviews with, if they were leaving and went to a new job and they remember all the things you said, just because you think you're leaving and you're closing that, basically don't shut that door. You never know, like, where you will need them, where you will meet them. It could be anything. You could even be going into your own business and thinking, I'm going into my own business, I'm not doing 9 to 5 again, I'm not going to cross path with these people anymore. Before maybe they'll be your investors, like, in your own business, like, when you start that. So as much as possible, of course, you can give like constructive feedback, and you can say some of the things that maybe you struggled with, but you need to be able to say that as professionally as possible, and as constructive as possible, as against like talking about feelings or talking badly about people. It doesn't really put you in a good light, and you never really know, like, when you're going to need these people again. So as much as possible, like, say thank you when you're leaving. Say thank them thank your managers for their time. Thank them for the things you learn from them. Again, if there is an opportunity to get them to do so, you can give constructive feedback, but as professional as possible, and wrapping it with some good points as well. So not just like bad. So you can sort of wrap it up, or we did something and say, oh, I learned XYZ and I really like the way this happened. But if I was to give a feedback, I could say that maybe we could do this in this way next time. It could be a bit helpful for others in the future. Having said that, I do think that the whole sort of experience like was positive, and I'm definitely taking a lot of learnings, to my future roles, or my future, taking a lot of learnings with me and stuff like that. Like, you're saying what you're saying, but at the same time it's not in a way that it leaves a negative taste in where the reader's mouth. Of course, having said that, like, some people will take it bad anyway, and that's not up to you. Like, as long as within, as much as it lies within you, you are giving like constructive feedback, and you are giving constructive feedback, and doing it as professionally as possible. Yes, so that brings me to the end of this video. It was just a short video, and I just listed a few points. I know I definitely have some more points, because there's some more things I've seen, particularly with people, like, or just just being unprofessional. I know that there is a learning curve, because you're a young graduate, you're just getting, this is your first real job, maybe your first real role, your first real encounter within the professional setting, potentially, but try to be as mature as possible. Read the room, know when to say what you're saying, know to whom you're saying it to, and definitely if I could say one more thing, also think before you speak. Like, don't speak when you're sort of going through like extreme emotions. By extreme emotions, I mean like when you're very angry, or when you're very happy, or when you're very sad, and like those extreme emotions where we just say things like you don't necessarily think about it. So if something has just happened, like at work, like if you've had an upsetting situation at work, I don't think that's necessarily like speaking about it immediately is necessarily the best time to speak about it. It may be good to write it down. Again, it depends on what the gravity of what has happened. Of course, if someone has done something criminal to you, I'm not saying keep quiet and go and process it. Like, but there's something. I'm just saying like your day to day, normal things that you encounter, or things that make you upset like that. It's always good to spend some time processing it, and if possible, speak to someone else about it, someone outside. So speak to a friend, speak to an older sibling that maybe can give you, someone older, someone that has worked in a professional setting for a bit longer than you. Speak to your parents about it, and just ask them for their thoughts, because sometimes you may have been the one being unreasonable about it, but also like when your emotions are sort of lower, or when your emotions are not as heightened, like, then you can process things better, and you can put things better. So it's better to sort of wait. So if something happens today, maybe you want to wait till tomorrow. You can write it down so you don't forget exactly what happened and stuff like that, but just make a note to yourself, and then talk about it later, so that you're not saying the wrong things. Or when you're extremely happy, and then I don't know, you go out for drinks, and I don't know, maybe you're drunk, and then saying things like stuff like that, you want to avoid as much as possible. You shouldn't even be drinking. Well, that's a different video. All right then, thank you so much for watching, dear young graduates. I hope you've taken some of this points with you to help you as you navigate your professional work life, and congratulations on getting your internship, congratulations on getting the graduate job. Definitely aspire for more, be ambitious, go for it, and don't let anything hold you back. All right then, thank you for watching. Goodbye.